Hey bougie gang, y'all. I said let me come on. Let me get in here. Get in here, right? Hey guys, how are you? Okay. I said let me go ahead. Um, because baby, if this week goes like I think it's gonna, there's so much going on. We won't it's like and I only wish I could be live all day every day, but um I just feel like there's gonna be a lot of news going on. Anyway, let's get into it. Actually, so Kelly, I don't know which one you guys want to talk about first. You guys want to get caught up with Kelly Marie Bryant first? Kelly is homegirl who left her kids alone for 5 years in Pontiac, Michigan. Baby, they have bound her. I'm a spoiler alert. She's been bound over and she's going to trial for neglect. My bad. She's going to trial for neglect. Okay, you know who she is right here. Okay, baby, she was looking a hot mess in court. What do you expect? She had a court date. Uh, I feel like it was last Friday. And I don't know, Diddy was going on, and baby, it was so much going on with Diddy. It was like, damn, it was hard to concentrate. I was overstimulated. Okay. That whole week of freak off talk, I couldn't even get my head straight. That damn, yes, well, yeah, pretty much 5 years. I mean, she'd been to see them. It's a mess. They actually had a full hearing. Now, unfortunately, the news channel didn't capture the whole thing, but I have a good portion. Um, I have about 40 minutes. So we can watch that. And then Tiawana Brown, baby, she's a city councilman in my city. Um, I had what was I? Oh, I had a doctor's appointment. If I hadn't had my doctor's appointment Friday, I was gonna be downtown with everybody else because ma'am was over there at the same federal courthouse that Peter got sentenced. So you know where I know where it is. And had I known, I had a doctor's appointment, I had to tend to me first, okay? Because, what I had, I feel like it could have been serious had it gone unattended. So I don't know. But anyway, we're good now. So I guess let's do Kelly first. And then we'll get over to Tawana. We're gonna try and not stay up too late because baby, it's a school night. And it's a work night for some of y'all. So I don't want to keep y'all up too late. But baby, um, sis was looking real. it's, it's getting real over there. She can her little lace front wig and everything. And it looks like she's eating real good in jail. What do you guys think? She's eating really good and she has been bound over. Okay. And look at one of her lawyers. Girl, she's eating she's enjoying, I don't know what they're feeding, but baby, all right, let's get into it. This is Kelly Marie Bryant. She's in Oakland County. She's in Pontiac, Michigan. Ma'am is should be very much ashamed because she left her kids to she left her kids to fend for themselves. I wish I could show you that clip of her walking into court so you guys could have it's a little bit of a key, I'm not going to lie. She walked in like, "Hey, how y'all doing?" Almost looking like, "Y'all here for me?" And it's like, "Sis, obviously, like who else are we here for? Yes, we're here for you." Um I'm not kidding. Hold on. Let me see if I can find I feel like it was on Click on Detroit. Hold on, let me find it. Cause sis came in there like, "Oh hey." Let me see. It was, oh, yes. Okay, here we go. Baby, hold on. Let me give you guys this first so you guys can get a taste, and then we'll flip back. Okay, here we go. Make sure to hit the thumbs up for me now. Girl, she's over there doing the shackle shuffle. Hold on. I gotta have some sort of banner. Hold on. Girl, where is my regular banner? All right. Okay. Oh, okay. Baby. They are not playing with her in Oakland, okay? The prosecutor said, "We don't play about these kids over here. You're not going to do that." So it's humiliating. Look at those outfits the inmates have to wear. Okay. All right, let's flip back. Sis, so after that entrance, she comes in and she looks happy as I don't know what. I mean, she got arrested I think February 14th. What is now? It's been like 3.5 months. This is her first actual live court date. Now, she has been on multiple Zooms. So if you've been following, we've covered all of the Zoom hearings. This was her first in person. This hearing has led her now to be bound over. She's going to trial. People versus Kelli Bryant, the case number 250216FY, and also case number 250310FY.
Good morning, Your Honor. You're Ms. appearing on behalf of the people for the welfare fraud case.
Good morning, Your Honor. Unique appearance on behalf of the people.
So keep in mind, there's actually two cases. She has the child abandonment and she has the welfare fraud. So if you see here, this one lady said, "I'm the prosecutor for the welfare fraud." Hold on. This one right here in the burgundy is for the child abandonment. They only recorded like 30 minutes of this. There's another section that we'll have, and I think they waived the preliminary hearing today for not the preliminary, but maybe it was preliminary exam. They waived for the welfare fraud. So they focused on the child abuse allegations, and like I said, it ends up getting bound over. So, okay.
Good morning, Your Honor. Celia Karen on behalf of Ms. Bryant on both cases.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Ben Gonick on behalf of Ms. Bryant, on behalf of the child abuse case.
And Ms. Bryant, would you state your name for the record, please?
Kelli Bryant.
Thank you. This is the time and date for preliminary exams on both cases. As to the welfare fraud case, Ms. Smith?
Yes, Your Honor. It's my understanding that we are going to have a waiver on that case. I think our inclination is to have the child abuse exam go first to make sure that that's bound over or is at least concluded, and then waive on the welfare fraud case just to keep the two cases together. So however the court wants to do that, that was our thought, but if the court has a different suggestion, we're obviously open to that as well.
That would be fine if there's no objection.
There's no objection, Your Honor. We just like to keep everything together.
All right, that's fine. So I'll circle back to that at the conclusion of the child abuse case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. As to the child abuse matter, parties are ready to move forward?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Are there any preliminary matters for the record?
Yes, Your Honor. The parties are asking for a mutual sequestration order. I do have Detective Brish, who is the officer in charge in this case. I asked for him to remain. And I have the first witness, Deputy Curtis, who's in the courtroom right now.
No objection.
I will note.
And it's possible they didn't record all of it, maybe some of it for privacy purposes with the kids. I don't know if they were going over certain evidence. That could have been one of the reasons, but I did see when I went to the news channel's website, they had like some additional footage, so that might not necessarily be the case, but
Mutual sequestration of witnesses until they're called, officer in charge can stay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Secondly, because the victims in this case are children, we are asking for their names to not be said today in court. My suggestion would be to label them as the oldest child, the middle child, and the youngest, just to protect them.
And Yana, we spoke about this before. We have no desire for their names to be repeated in court over and over again, so we're in agreement. And
Because they are minor children, the court can agree with that as well.
thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. There was stipulations to the exhibits for purposes of examination only. I do have photographs of the home. They're labeled as People's Exhibits 1 through 20. I do have them on a USB for the court. And I also have hard copies of the pictures. Secondly, the 21 and 24 of the People's Exhibit are the forensic interviews of the victims in this case. So there are 3 forensic interviews that were conducted at Care House. And we are asked if there's a stipulation for them to be admitted for purposes of exam only for in-camera review.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And I will note stipulation to the admission, that's for the exhibits as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
1 through 20, also stipulation for the admission of 21 and 24 for purposes of the preliminary exam.
Yes.
For
Thank you, Your Honor. And then lastly, there were some stipulations to facts in this case. First, that Kelli Bryant is the mother of the named victims and that she had custody over them.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Second, that all the 3 named victims are under the age of 18.
That is also correct, Your Honor.
And third, that Kelli Bryant was named on the lease of 660 Lydia Avenue in the city of Pontiac.
That is also correct.
Court will accept those stipulations as facts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other preliminary matters you ready?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
People can call it first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people called Deputy Curtis.
Deputy, if you will come forward and I'll swear you in. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, Deputy. Deputy, are you employed?
Yes,
Where are you employed?
Overton County
Put
Sheriff's
his name on the record, spell the last name.
Oh, I apologize. Could you state and spell your name?
Deputy Quincy Curtis, QUINCY CURTIS.
Thank you. Where are you employed?
Overton County Sheriff's Office, Pontiac Substation.
And how long have you been in the Pontiac substation?
Just under 6 years.
And what's your current position there?
Patrol deputy.
Okay, can you walk me through what you do in that role?
I patrol the city of Pontiac, answer calls for service.
Okay. And were you working on February 14, 2025 around 1:30 p.m.?
Yes,
And were you dispatched to 660 Lydia Lane?
yes,
And is that in the city of Pontiac,
yes,
County of Oakland?
yes.
What was the nature of the dispatch?
There's a welfare check.
And did you arrive at 660 Lydia Lane?
Yes.
What, if anything, did you observe upon arrival?
Upon arrival, I made contact with the landlord for the residence. He asked us to do a welfare check. He hasn't heard from the tenant in some time. Hadn't received payment sometime. So he was requesting a welfare check.
From your understanding, had there been an attempt for a welfare check earlier?
The day prior.
Was it successful? Do you know the circumstances of why it wasn't successful?
Yeah, deputies on scene weren't able to see anything inside, weren't able to gain access. Landlord came back the following day with the locksmith.
Okay. And what, if anything, did the locksmith do?
He was able to open the residence.
Can you describe what the residence looks like for the court?
It is an apartment-style townhouse with a garage underneath the residence. Where we were inside was through the garage, which with the residence would be upstairs above the garage.
And the locksmith was able to open the garage, correct?
Correct.
Upon walking in, what, if anything, did you observe?
I observed a large mold stain coming through the ceiling of the garage, which had been right under the residence. Through the garage door that was open, I immediately observed trash and feces all over the floor and a very extreme foul smell coming from the apartment.
And the garage is attached to the unit, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you enter the unit?
Yes.
Initial observations upon entering?
Right away, I observed a staircase to my left, a bedroom over to the right. I observed just trash piled everywhere, feces and cobwebs throughout the entire downstairs, and garbage trailed all the way up the stairs.
Okay. Your Honor, may I approach the witness with the stipulated exhibits?
You may.
Thank you. I'm going to hand you the admitted exhibits 1 through 20. If you could look at the first picture, what do we see in that picture?
First picture would be the entrance to the garage.
Okay. And exhibit 2, what are we looking at?
The inside of the garage.
Thank you. And walk us through the next picture.
That is just through the garage door from picture 2, with the staircase on the left and the bedroom door on the right, on the piles of trash on the floor.
What else did you notice on the staircase itself beyond the garbage?
I will notice there was feces on the staircase as well.
Okay. And then ultimately, did you walk up the
I
stairway?
did.
What, if anything, did you observe when you walked up the stairway?
When I got to the top of the stairway, I observed, while I reached, it was a living area. There was a couch in the middle that had trash piled on top of it, almost 4 feet in the air. Pizza boxes all over the place. There was just piles of feces. There was cobwebs hanging from the ceiling that you had to walk through.
Would you identify that? How would you identify that area that you're walking in? Was that the living space?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And then what did the living space, did it connect to any other parts of the home?
The living space connected to the kitchen. It was just kind of a follow-on room, which then had multiple bedrooms and half them off for the same.
Okay. Starting with the kitchen, what were some of your observations within the kitchen?
Counters were completely covered in trash, sink heads covered in trash. There was cobwebs from the ceiling almost all the way down to the counters, feces throughout the kitchen as well.
When you refer to trash, were they in trash bags? What were you looking at?
Just empty pizza boxes, empty food wrappers, just piled up.
Was there any odor while you were walking through the home?
Yes, it was very foul. Our initial thought was we were checking the apartment for a dead body.
Now, you testified that there were also bedrooms that were in that living space or connected to that living space. Can you describe the bedrooms? How many were there?
I believe there's 3 bedrooms. They all appeared to be the same. Lots of trash. Both bathrooms were covered in trash and feces as well.
Were there beds in those bedrooms?
One of them.
And how about the bed? Was there a bed set on that? How do you describe the bed?
There was a mattress on the bed frame. The mattress was stained and extremely dirty, had wrappers on it, wrappers all around it.
Okay. At any point were you attempting to clear the home?
Yes.
Can you describe to the court what clearing the home means?
just ensuring that there's no dead body inside. We're trying to look and make sure that find anybody that might be inside.
While you were doing that, did anything unusual happen?
Yes.
What, if anything, happened?
As I was going through the living area, I came to a door on my right. I went to go open it and it was locked. I saw 2 more doors past that. As I began to go to the other 2 doors, I heard crying from inside that locked door.
Did it sound like crying from a number of people or one person? What did it sound like?
At the time, I believed it was multiple children.
What, if anything, did you do at that time?
At that time, I turned back around and addressed that locked door. I let them know I was the police, that I was not going to hurt them. They were safe, but they needed to come outside so we could check on their welfare.
Did they?
At first, they did not come outside. I was giving them multiple orders to come outside. At that time, a door from the bedroom behind me opened, and the oldest child exited that bedroom. He had his hands up in the air, and he identified himself to us. I told him to tell the children to come outside, which he ordered them to come outside.
Okay. Now, what were your initial observations of the oldest child?
Oldest child, he came out without a shirt on. He had blue pants on that were covered in dirt. I observed his toenails to be extremely long. He was having a hard time walking straight.
What was his demeanor when you approached him?
Nervous. He was talking very fast, and he seemed frightened.
And ultimately, was he able to get the other children out of the bathroom?
Yes.
What did you observe happening?
The bathroom door opened, and I observed 2 females, children in the bathroom. They appeared hunched over. Their arms were connected. They were staying very close to each other. They would just cry. I don't really understand what they were trying to say. They were both looking down and wouldn't look at us, and they kept their arms tight to their chest.
Did you see the bathroom that they exited from?
Yes, after I got them to, after several minutes of getting them to come out of the bathroom, I did check it.
Describe what the bathroom looked like, please.
The bathroom was completely filled with trash and feces on the floor. The toilet was completely filled up to the brim with feces, and they were coming off the top. The bathroom tub had feces in it as well.
Do you know where the children were in the bathroom when they weren't coming out? Like where in the bathroom they were hiding?
I don't know for sure where they were at. I did hear the shower curtain that was connected to the tub move before they exited.
What happened next after they got out of the bathroom?
We had all 3 of the children together, and we were in the living space at that time. We were going to go have them have a seat on patrol cars so we could figure out what was going on, and I instructed them to start walking downstairs.
Anything noteworthy of them walking down the stairs?
Yes, all 3 of them appeared to have a hard time walking. The 2 younger children were very hunched over, again, keeping their arms tight to their body. They appeared to just hold hands or stay connected at all times. They were extremely uncomfortable with deputies walking behind them. They would turn to the side and do a side shuffle. They wouldn't walk, they wouldn't turn backs to us. So they were walking like back to back down the stairs.
And is this referring to the middle child and the youngest child? Describe the scene to the court. How many deputies were in the home at this time?
After we got down to the garage, there was at least 10 deputies there at this time.
Did you attempt to calm the children down?
Yes,
Were you successful in doing that?
not very much.
Okay, why do you say that?
They just did not appear to become any more calm. They were very frightened. It appeared they hadn't had interaction with other people.
Did you speak to them?
I did.
Who did you speak to in particular?
I spoke to all three.
Okay. Now, starting with the oldest child, where did you speak to him?
I had him have a seat in the back of my car, and then I spoke to him there.
Did you ask him when Miss Bryant was, or where his mom was?
I did.
What, if anything, did you learn?
The oldest child informed me that he lives at the apartment.
I'm not gonna object to hearsay at this time.
Your Honor, I believe this would fall under MRE 8031, present sense impression. It's a statement describing the condition or the event while it was immediately happening.
Your Honor, I guess for purposes of exam, it's probably appropriate on the present sense impression.
Now, I understand the nature of the objection, but it would be permitted.
Thank you. Continue, please.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Did you ask him when the last time that the defendant lived in the home?
I did 2020 to 2021.
Did he make any other statements to you?
He informed me that he lives there along with his two sisters.
Did you speak with the middle child?
Yes.
Where did you speak to her?
Also in the backseat of a different patrol car.
Did she make any statements to you?
I was just trying to get the names of the two of them. The two youngest were together in the back of the car. They were having a hard time spelling their names to me. They had to consult each other to tell me their names.
So keep in mind, the kids were what? I think 12, 13, and 15. And if she left the kids, just do the math, for 5 years, the oldest was 10. And then you're looking at a 8-year-old and a 7-year-old. Okay. So 10, 8, and 7 from when anyone can trace back that she was actually minding her children full time. So they didn't know how to do anything. You know what I'm saying? They knew how to do what they knew how to do, but they were basically fending for themselves for a long time. No school, no friends, no nothing, just each other. You know, just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. She should be absolutely ashamed of herself, right? Okay, let's keep going.
Did you ask them for their dates of birth?
I did.
Were they able to provide that to you?
After some time when consulting each other, they were.
What happened after they were placed in the patrol cars? They're sitting there.
I was very concerned for their welfare. I called Sade EMS to come to the scene to check on them.
Why were you scared for their welfare?
Based off of my observations inside that apartment, I didn't think it was a suitable place for anybody to be living.
Did Star EMS arrive?
They did.
And were the children, were they transported to a hospital?
They were.
Which hospital?
McLaren one in downtown Pontiac.
And did you follow the ambulance?
I did.
Did you go inside the hospital?
Yes.
Can you describe the children when they were in the hospital?
Yes. We took them out of the patrol cars, walked them inside. They were still having a very difficult time walking, hunched over. Arms
Would you say that's for
bodies.
all, I apologize, would you say that's for all three of the children or specific children?
Specifically the younger two, with the hunched over arms to the chest.
What happened after that?
We walked them inside. They went to the emergency department first, where they had their vitals checked. Nurses in the ER were also concerned that they hadn't had hygiene supplies in some time. So the children were transported upstairs, provided showers and general hygiene.
Did you, what did the children do with those hygiene supplies?
They were able to take a shower, brush their teeth, use the bathroom.
Is there anything noteworthy or anything that you noticed while they were provided those supplies?
Yes, the nurses were informing us that they were having.
And I'm gonna object to your saying, I don't think that qualifies.
They want to rephrase the question.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Did you make any observations of the children using the supplies, the hygiene supplies?
I made an observation of the children having a hard time flushing the toilet. They didn't understand how to flush the toilet.
And anything noteworthy about toothbrush and toothpaste?
They're just unfamiliar.
Were the children offered food at the hospital?
They were.
Anything noteworthy that happened when food arrived?
They did not eat at first. They waited until all three of them were together. The two youngest asked permission of the older brother if they were allowed to eat, and then they would only eat if everyone stepped out of the room.
How long would you say that you were at the hospital?
Several hours.
What happened where were you, I guess, while they were at the hospital?
I was just trying to make them the most comfortable, so I was standing outside of the room. I had contacted CPS, and I was just waiting for their arrival.
Okay. One moment, Your Honor. Did you make any observations of the bathroom after the children brushed their teeth,
I don't recall.
specifically in the sink? Any observations?
I remember the sink had blood in it.
Now, going back to 660 Lydia Avenue, when you were doing the walkthrough of the condo, did you see any hygiene products in the home?
I don't recall seeing anything.
Any toilet paper?
I don't recall.
And were the children wearing shoes in the home when you assessed them?
No.
Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Mr. O'Donnell or Mr. Beck?
Thank you. Good morning. Deputy Curtis, the photos that you referenced, that you went through and identified, when were those taken?
They were taken after the children were transported to the hospital.
And do you know how many deputies had already walked through that home when the photos were taken?
I don't know the exact number.
More than 10?
I'm not positive. I left
Oh, okay, so you left and followed EMS to the hospital? Okay. How many deputies were on scene at the time that you left?
around 10 probably.
Okay, and did they all go inside the home?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Now, you indicated that when you first entered the home and you attempted to see, go do the walkthrough and see if anybody was in there, you then heard the voices from the one bathroom. Is that where you heard the cries from, or?
Crying, correct.
Okay, and then were you calling out for those children to come out?
Yes,
And did they respond to you at all?
they continue crying.
Okay, and then did the oldest child, you stated he came out of a bedroom, correct?
Correct.
Did he come out upon command, or did he just come out on his own?
He came out.
On his own?
Correct.
Okay, and then he told his sisters to then exit as well, correct?
Correct, I instructed him to.
Okay, and he followed that command, correct?
Yes,
And he asked his sisters to come out,
yes,
and then did they come out?
yes,
And you already testified that they looked frightened, correct?
yes,
And you would agree with me, you were a stranger to them?
yes,
You had never met these children before? All right, and you were in your law enforcement uniform?
Yes,
All right, so they would have seen that you were a police officer, correct?
correct.
And would you agree with me, if you know, do you know if anyone had ever been called to this home before? Meaning, is there a history of police interaction with this home?
Besides, like we mentioned the day prior, I'm not positive.
Okay. And so, to your knowledge, it wouldn't be an ordinary thing to have police officers or deputies at that particular home, correct?
Correct.
It would be something unfamiliar to these children?
Yes,
And how long had you been a deputy for?
just under 6 years.
And is it common for folks to be frightened or upset when they see the police or interact with the police?
I would say situation dependent.
Okay. So it happens, correct?
Correct.
All right. Not everybody is happy or excited to see you. Is that correct?
Correct.
And some are frightened.
Right.
Now, after transporting the children to the hospital, you were speaking to these children, correct, all along?
Yes.
And did they seem to understand what you were telling them?
Yes.
And were they speaking back to you? Were they responding to you?
Softly, yes.
Okay, but they had appropriate words, correct?
Yes.
And they could, I guess, have an appropriate conversation with you, if that makes sense?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay. And you arrived to the hospital, and the children went in and they were offered hygiene products, correct?
Yes.
And I'm assuming you were not present when they actually took showers. Is that fair?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and nobody else was either. Is that correct?
The nurses at the hospital.
The nurses were there. Okay, and the children took their showers and they put on different clothes, correct?
Yes.
And were they interacting with the nurses as well?
Yes.
All right, and they were verbal with them and speaking to them, correct?
Yes.
And was this consistent throughout the time that you were there? Meaning that they were communicating?
It was on and off.
Okay. And you also indicated that the sisters, or the middle child and the youngest child, they were talking to each other about when their birthdays were,
They were
but they were able to give you the information.
eventually.
And it was the correct information?
I believe so.
All right. And what about the oldest? Was he able to provide his details?
Yes.
You were not in there when they, I guess, brushed their teeth, or you indicated that there was some blood in the sink. You don't know how that arrived there. Is that fair?
I went in the bathroom after the fact.
And you didn't watch what was going on. Is that fair? Did the children eat?
Yes.
And what did they eat?
Little Caesar's pizza.
Okay, is that what they requested?
They did request that.
So they were able to communicate to you what they'd like to eat. Is that correct?
Yes.
May I have one moment, Cameron?
I almost feel like she's trying to say, okay, the home was dirty. I almost feel like she's just trying to normalize, like they could talk, they answered questions. Them being frightened isn't out of the ordinary because most people are frightened. You know what I mean? Like I think she's trying to go with like, I'm not creating her defense, but I'm just thinking like, I know she's not getting ready to say she was like homeschooling and maybe, yes, her house is dirty, but it's not what you think it was. Also, on top of that, she admitted to the police when she was arrested that she hadn't been home and she hadn't been living under the roof with the children. So she made an admission. So I don't know what her lawyer, Miss Kieran Gongo, is trying to do. But it's giving, maybe like, I don't know. We'll have to see which way this goes, eventually, because we're not even at trial yet. It did get bound over, so there's going to be a whole trial. So this is preliminary exam, right? But interesting, right? Okay, maybe this is just a couple more seconds and then I've got one more video. I don't know why they didn't record the whole thing for us because this is so interesting, but we have what we have, okay? But this is almost over, and then I have another one.
I have nothing else. Thank you, Deputy.
Okay, not saying that that's going to work, but you never know. Okay, all right, let me go over here for a second. This is another person that testified. This is this is the detective. I don't know if you guys remember when the police chief or the sheriff, I think maybe it was the sheriff, but let me tell you, he was almost crying
noteworthy
when the actual sheriff, when he did the I don't know if you guys remember or not, but when the sheriff did the press conference, he was like he was choked up in tears. Like he was like, I cannot um he was so overcome with like how sad it was for these kids.
observations that you made with the children.
My first observations were the two youngest children, two females. They were having visible difficulties walking. They seemed to be having trouble with sunlight. Their eyes were visibly reacting. They were standing very close to each other. The way they walked was strange, almost as if they were walking on their heels, kind of huddled up against each other, and their posture was severely slouched. The most notable observation was what appeared to be feces covering their clothing, in their hair, and the strong pungent odor they emitted as they walked.
Were they wearing shoes when you saw them?
I believe so. They did not appear to be, like their feet may not have been fitting in the shoes properly, but they appeared to be in severe pain as they were walking.
What was their demeanor like when you saw them?
They appeared petrified, overstimulated, overwhelmed.
When you arrived, were evidence technicians there?
Not quite.
Okay. Were they called?
Yes, initially, I requested the crime lab to respond. Ultimately, I was informed that an evidence technician would be responding to processes.
Were they advised to wear hazmat suits and gas masks?
Yes.
Why?
On my approach, I asked the deputies, were they certain that there were no other children inside the home? I've never smelt a home that smelled that bad without a decomposing body present. They assured me that there were no other children present in the home. As I approached the home, they requested repeatedly, do not go in there without a gas mask or a hazmat suit. And they described some of their initial observations of the scene, which I relayed when I requested the evidence technician.
And ultimately, did they have the hazmat suits when they arrived?
Initially, we had one evidence technician process the scene. He was wearing a full hazmat style suit and a gas mask.
Is that typical?
Absolutely not.
Why do you use a hazmat suit? What does that do?
Because the environment is so dangerous that even for a short period of time, you may experience significant health concerns.
And from your investigation, it's your understanding how many years the children were living in that environment?
I believe 4 to 5 years old, or 4 to 5 years since they've been abandoned.
Did you observe where the children went?
They went to McLaren Open Hospital.
Okay. Did you stay at the home?
Only to manage the initial scene, to make sure things were in place, to maintain scene security prior to an additional search of the home. While on scene, I actually got in contact with the mother, Kelli Bryant. Over the phone, we discussed the circumstances in which the children were found, the concerns for the health of her children, and the need for us to have a conversation. Kelli agreed to meet me at the PONTIAC substation, and that's where I went to.
Did you say where she was? Over the
She
phone.
said she was on the north side of Pontiac, it was being kind of big with where she was located, but she stated she would come to me. She would meet me at the Pontiac substation.
Okay. So from your understanding, she was in the city of Pontiac.
That's what I would.
Okay. How quickly did she get to the substation?
I don't know the exact timeline. I think it's noted in my report, but it was not an extensive period of time after. I would say about an hour after I initially arrived on scene. I would have to confirm that.
Were you made aware of how she arrived to the substation?
I observed her get dropped off, and she told me it was late.
Did you ultimately conduct an interview with the defendant?
Yes,
Where did you conduct an interview?
in a recorded room in the Pontiac substation.
And was that on the same day?
Yes,
Were you there with a partner?
yes.
And who was that?
Detective Merritt?
Was the defendant provided her Miranda rights during this interview?
Yes,
Did you ask her if she understood them?
yes,
Did she agree to talk to you?
yes.
What was her demeanor like during this conversation?
Her demeanor was questionable at times. It was not what I was expecting. I didn't know really what to expect. It was a very unique case. But she was pretty cooperative throughout the interview. Her appearance was the most surprising thing.
Why do you say that?
Her hair was done. She was wearing what appeared to be new clothes that were clean. She had long, fake nails. And to see the contradiction between what I observed all three of her children to look at their appearance when I arrived on scene, to then see her in her condition was so much jarring.
Did you ask her what she believed was happening with her children?
Yes,
What, if anything, did she say?
Kelli made several admissions during the interview. She knew that her actions were selfish. That was her wording, and that it made her children sick, and that she ultimately sacrificed her children for her own purposes.
Was that comment surprising to you?
Absolutely.
Why?
Just her confidence in her admission to it, and that she was so forthcoming, I guess was somewhat surprising, given the nature and severity of the observations.
How long was your interview with her, roughly?
I interviewed her a few times. The first time, I think it may have been about 2 hours in length.
During that initial interview, did you ask her if she ever entered the home?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did she say?
I believe she described one instance in which she spoke to Samuel in the garage, lowest level of the condo, but didn't enter the home from there. She described primarily dropping food off or having food delivered to the front porch while she would wait in a nearby vehicle to watch the oldest child, pick up the food. Other than that, she had mentioned a couple instances where a smoke detector had been going off in the home, and that made her concerned because she knew what comes after a smoke detector after the same period of time, that the fire department or police would respond and find her children there. So it was her own act. But she admitted to going into the home and damaging or pulling out the batteries of the smoke detector so it wouldn't go off anymore, as to not attract any attention from neighbors.
So from your understanding with that, there was not a functioning smoke detector after that happened?
She
In the
found
home.
her multiple throughout the home. She admitted to at least one that she made an operable.
Okay. Did you ask how she would communicate with her children?
Primarily through text. Yes.
And they had phones, is that right?
Yes.
Did she say that she provided those phones to them?
Yes.
Okay. Did she say what type of phones or how she did that, how she paid for that?
Her program has free phones that she was able to gather and provide her children.
Did you ask her about her last communication with her children before they were removed?
Yes.
What, if anything, did she say?
That the oldest child had texted her that police had arrived, and she confirmed that her response was to instruct them to hide.
Did she say why she said that?
I don't recall.
Did you ask her if anyone knew that if the children were alone in the home?
Yes.
What did she say?
She admitted to deliberately hiding that information and stated that she didn't want anybody to know that her children were living there alone.
Did she ever note concerns about her well-being to you during your interview with her?
Can you be more specific?
Did she make any comments about how this would impact her?
Yes.
What, if anything, did she say?
Both in my initial interview at the Pontiac substation and after she had requested that I return to speak with her while she was at house at the Oak County Jail, I would speak on the severity of the situation and my concerns for the children on their path to recovery moving forward. And typically her response would be Is there anything I can do to help myself? Do you have any advice for me? And we would return back to Kelli in those instances.
Roughly how often was she asking those type of questions to you?
In my report, I believe I notated at least 4 instances that were similar in what I just described, asking what she could do to help herself.
Is that surprising to you?
Absolutely.
Why?
Myself and everybody involved in this investigation were deeply bothered by the condition and circumstances in which the children are living, and for her to be primarily concerned about her own well-being or her future, it was bothersome.
Now, you testified that she had made a comment that she was selfish. Could you elaborate?
Did you see the lawyer's face? Her lawyer who's handling her welfare fraud. So keep in mind she was getting government benefits. She was getting food stamps. And I think, I'm not sure if she was getting some sort of a stipend like Section 8 or something. I'm sure whatever they can pursue. Let me tell you, the Oakland prosecutor, she's not playing. Whatever she can pursue against Kelli Bryant, she's really not happy with this woman and what she did. And she's going to prosecute her to the fullest extent of the law. So if she is getting some sort of Section 8 voucher, and there's some sort of fraud or, because she wasn't living there and tending to the children. But yeah, it's a mess. We have like about 50 more seconds of this and then we're going to pivot to something else. But yeah, this will be the update on Kelli. So Kelli is moving to trial, and I'll get an update as far as when they suspect her trial might be. And things are moving along, so you never know. It could, I don't know. I'll let you know. I have to look at her case to see like what's going on. So Bible lady, you asked me, friend, can you get an update on about the nurse that dropped her son off at the ER? So you have so the last update you knew, so that's Kimberly, what is her name? Mills. Yeah, Kimberly Mills, the nurse. Well, okay, I'll tell you in a minute. But yeah, it's not she and the boyfriend, I believe, were both updated to capital murder because the one that was dropped off, he was in critical condition and suffering. It's almost like Jamaria Sessions, how she had like 1,000 wounds and it just was too much. Her son also passed. Yeah. So Kimberly Mills, the nurse who brought her son to the ER, yeah, she was upgraded to murder charges. So yeah, bad. But yeah, we haven't talked about that in a little while. So and I don't think a whole lot has been going on with that. There's been some updates like to the docket, but specifically like court. It's awful. Yeah. Yes, the boy passed away. The other son was being abused also, but the dad came from Connecticut and picked up his son. He had no idea. He stated that he was unaware that anything was going on before they left Connecticut. But let's finish up with this and then we'll get up with Kimberly Mills, okay?
Right on what she said.
No. Yeah, no, eccentric, no.
Would it refresh your recollection if you reviewed
Like
your
I
report?
Like I said, Bible lady was asking me about something else, so we'll talk about that another time. Right now, we're on this woman on the screen is not a nurse, and we're talking about Bible lady was asking me about another case that we've been following, Kimberly Mills out of Lake County, Florida. We'll get caught up on that. A couple of people asked me about Tyshell Martin. And one day this week, we'll talk about Tyshell and Kimberly Mills. Coincidentally, so the girlfriend of the who was keeping Jamaria Sessions. Coincidentally, Tyshell and Kimberly Mills are both in Lake County, Florida. So we'll get caught up with them on the same day.
Your Honor, may I approach with him?
And it was Kimberly Mills who's a nurse, not this woman.
Just look up after your.
Did that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
What did the defendant say?
At the time, we were discussing an incident that happened years prior that made her feel as though she couldn't live at that 660 Lydia Lane address anymore. Kelli admitted to hurting her children. She said, I hurt my children. And she admitted to becoming selfish and ultimately, in quotes, I sacrificed my children.
That's it. I don't think they didn't post anything else. You guys remember when they had to go and the hazmat suits? We covered all of that. Let me see if they have. Is this like a story related? Okay. Just a second. Let's see what's going on here. Girl, that was the back of the place. It was a mess. Yeah, but the workers didn't have on hazmat suits. Police had on hazmat suits, but unfortunately for the workers, I guess the garbage men did, but some of those workers did not. Those mattresses, my Lord. $5 years worth of trash. That's what they're used to eating, Little Caesars boxes. Can you believe that? This wench. Nasty. That's all the kids ate was Little Caesars. A mess. Oh, I just saw that story. I just read about that today. I am still processing, but I read an article about that maybe just a couple of hours ago. Whew. Okay, that was it. Okay, let's pivot. Okay. Let's pivot. These poor kids. Look, the best thing that happened, she knew what she was. Let me just say this too, real quick. She knew what she was doing when she didn't pay that rent, right? She knew what she was doing. When she didn't pay the rent, who doesn't know what happens when you don't pay rent, right? She wanted to get caught. You know what I mean? You know how like the psychology behind doing certain things? She wanted to be caught because what's going to happen when you don't pay rent, right? So maybe she wanted an out because by hook or by crook, if you didn't want to get busted, you would have paid that rent. And when you decided to not pay the rent, it was just a matter of time for your secret to come out. So thank God, right? And the kids are now. So why didn't she drop the kids off with her parents? She wanted to be free. And maybe she didn't have that type of situation where people were going to be like, bring the kids over here. Everybody is not trying to keep everybody's kids. We know that. I mean, some of you guys may not have that situation with your families, and everyone doesn't know that it's going to be a situation like this, right? So first of all, what we know is that she lied to her family. That's why her family have the kids. She lied and said that the kids were with their father. So, and they had custody and whatever, and she couldn't see the kids or whatever the case may be. She was lying to her family. And I just cannot believe that the people upstairs did not smell how nasty that house was. Anyway, she was lying to the family, and they thought that the kids were with the biological father, and what, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I can't really qualify that, but that's the story, and they've placed the kids with the paternal parents, right? The paternal grandparents. I'm assuming, but I don't know. Don't they do an inspection every year? Clearly they did not. So I'm not sure how she got past that. I'm sure it's all going to come out. Maybe there's some sort of situation, with social services not coming out. And, I'm sure they're going to do a full inspection to figure out, or a full audit of this woman's file to figure out how she got by without handling business. You know what I mean? Without, if she did have Section 8, not handling inspections, and how she would have gotten by. We'll find out. I'm sure it's all going to come out because this woman was on public assistance. She still wanted to get government benefits. She thought maybe they would just take the kids and wouldn't have to suffer the consequences. I don't know what she thought, but she didn't think to do that because she left them alone. She left them alone, and she sent them Little Caesars pizzas, and they were fending for themselves for 5 years in that house by themselves. My thing is 12 and 13, those girls were probably getting ready to get maybe they didn't get menstrual cycles. Maybe they didn't by the grace of God. Maybe they didn't get it because who knows how they could have handled something like that, considering they weren't getting baths. They didn't have sanitary products. They probably didn't have adequate underwear. They probably weren't washing their clothes. Did they not have running water? It's just a mess. It's just a horrible mess. But of course, we're going to keep our eyes on this. And baby, she's been bound over. She's going to trial, and she could face a life sentence. So the prosecutor is not playing with her. Okay. All right. Let's pivot over to, hold on a second, guys. Yes, we're going to pivot over here. And I spelled her name. I need to fix the spelling of her name. I spelled her name wrong. I'm going to fix it real quick. We're going to go over here to, this is what's going on. This was interesting. This is on some scam stuff. I know you guys always like to hear about some scammery going on. This lady right here, her name is Tiawana Brown, and she is a city councilwoman in my city. And ma'am got a lot going on. And I was like, what? Okay, let me just give you this little visual real quick, but we'll listen to a little bit of her press conference. So a federal grand jury in Charlotte has returned a criminal indictment charging Tiawana Brown, 53, and her daughters, Tajima, 30, and Antoinette, 33, all of Charlotte, with wire fraud conspiracy. Wire fraud in connection with fraudulent applications filed to falsely obtain COVID pandemic relief funds, announced by Russ Ferguson, U.S. Attorney in the Western District of North Carolina. James Barnacle Jr., acting special agent in charge of the FBI in North Carolina, joins U.S. Attorney Ferguson in making today's announcement. According to allegations in the indictment, which I do have the indictment, baby, according to the allegations in the indictment, between April 2020 and September 2021, the defendants conspired to execute a scheme to defraud the Small Business Administration's Economic Injury Disaster Loans program and its Paycheck Protection Program, and obtain COVID pandemic relief funds for their purported businesses. Through the submission of loan applications that contained false information and false documentation, it is alleged that the false documentation generally included fake and fraudulent tax returns amongst other misrepresentations, and had the nerve to run for city council. That's me, add that in. It is further alleged that the defendant submitted false statements to obtain forgiveness of a PPP loan. In total, the defendant allegedly submitted at least 15 applications for EDL or PPP funds and falsely obtained at least $124,165 in connection with their scheme to defraud. Y'all, she was in court on Friday, and I swear to God, if it hadn't been the same time as my doctor's appointment, I would have been downtown, okay? The indictment also alleged that the EDL and PPP funds were deposited into bank accounts controlled by the defendants. Instead of using the pandemic relief funds to pay qualifying expenses as purported in the loan applications, the defendants allegedly used the proceeds for personal expenses, including allegedly $15,000 on a personal birthday party for Tiawana Brown. Okay. The defendants are charged with wire fraud conspiracy, wire fraud. If convicted, they face a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison for each offense charged in the indictment. The federal district court judge will determine any sentence imposed after considering the U.S. sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors. The charges in the indictment are allegations, and the defendants are presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. In making today's announcement, the U.S. Attorney Ferguson commended the FBI of Charlotte and their work on this investigation. They probably got the FBI involved also because she is a sitting city council woman in the city. So I don't know, maybe they decided because she's an official that they wanted to have the FBI investigate rather than, girl, I don't even know who else would. Assistant U.S. Attorney Matthew Warren of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Charlotte is prosecuting the case. Since the inception of the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, Economic Security Act, and the U.S. Attorney's Office has prosecuted 35 defendants. The office enforcement efforts in regard to COVID fraud also include actions to impose monetary judgments, collect assets to recoup some of what was wrongly taken of taxpayer funds. These actions include criminal and civil forfeiture, criminal restitution, and civil false claims act cases. To date, in dozens of COVID fraud cases, the Western District has already obtained almost $18 million in judgments and settlements has collected over $5.5 million in assets. Anyone with information about allegations of attempted fraud, including involving the COVID-19, can report it to the Department of Girl. They got a whole form and a complaint line. So if you know somebody who is who may have committed a fraud, baby, they say go ahead and turn them in. Okay. All right. Let's hear a little bit. I feel like we should watch a news story first, just so you can get girl. They were following her all the way to her car. Hold on a second, baby. Meanwhile, she was at a cookout this weekend on her Facebook doing boots on the ground. Girl. Oh, they're going to show some of her 50th birthday party. This is what they said she spent $15,000 on. Hold on. Girl, let's see. She spent that COVID money on this. Are they getting ready to play music? Okay, we're going to Okay, maybe this is a video she put up for her. Okay. She got her COVID money and baby, she spent it on a party downtown. I'm sure they'll be showing this at the trial. Okay. Wait a second. So she had what's his name there? You know who that was? Isn't that Nene Leakes' boyfriend? Don't tell me Nene Leakes was there. That was her 50th birthday outfit. Okay. This is what I want. How many of those people are standing by you right now that you've gotten a federal indictment? That's what I want to know. Okay, it's music. Mm-mm-mm. She said that these allegations are coming about because she is running for reelection and there is a effort to try to take her down. People are against her. Hold on one sec. Let's see. Is this we're gonna watch that one, but let's see this. Okay, let's check this out.
Right after her. We want to listen to Councilwoman Tiawana Brown's remarks right after her federal hearing. Let's listen in.
In a case like this, how are you feeling right now?
I'm still very well respected.
How are you feeling following the hearing?
Did someone fall
after the charges?
You don't lose respect for allegations.
Councilmember, Charlotte posted a video of you on the phone at the Baymont Hotel with the worker. What happened there?
Would you at all be open to taking a deal if it was offered to you?
Is there anything you want people to know here?
I love God.
Any a felony conviction could force you to lose your seat?
Do you still stand by what you said yesterday of not resigning at all?
Is the loss of your passport gonna?
I am the city council member that was elected for the people, by the people. Resignation is not in. Watch out! I'm gonna warn you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Watch out.
Resignation is not.
It's not an option. This has nothing to do with my seat. Where am I going?
Excuse us.
Can we get through? Thank you.
Do y'all have on how that went today?
Hey, how are you?
Why would you park so far away from the building and you know good and well they're going to be following you to your car? It's like they parked way out the way.
You know that. I love the people.
Were you surprised at all by the way the hearing
I
went
love the
today?
people.
What do you mean was surprised by the way? Judge was amazing.
What's the message to the community?
I love you. Keep standing with us. Thank you.
Why should the community?
No comment.
Are you at council today?
Absolutely. Are you gonna come there too?
We'll be there. Vendors, street vendors.
Have a good day.
Any comments on the street vendors? The street vendor changes.
Whatever my folks want me to do, whatever my constituents want me to do, you know I do that, Joe. Let's not pretend that.
So you feel supported by your constituents?
Absolutely. What you think? I want every precinct.
Ooh, okay.
But that has nothing to do with now.
Anything you want to add? Michael, Rob?
Okay, is this her lawyer?
Covered it.
Are you pleased with today or with the way today's hearing went?
Yes.
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 Will the loss of her passport affect anything business-wise, or? I know that was a big thing. That
We're still working through that. So.
And
No, I was gonna say, in terms of the trial, will they be 3 separate trials?
I doubt it. I anticipate that it'll be a single trial.
Rob, would y'all be open? I know y'all pleaded not guilty, all 3 of you, but your specific case was pled not guilty and you requested a jury trial. Would you at all be open to a plea deal if it's offered by federal prosecutors?
No, it's not up for consideration.
How do you think that went today overall?
Yeah, it's just an initial hearing. Went like it's supposed to, so we're happy.
she's clearly very well respected, tied up in a case like this. Is there anything you want the public here to know?
We're just getting warmed up. We pled not guilty and we're ready to go. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Rob.
Can I ask you a quick question? Is there any reason why the public shouldn't lose their trust in her?
Is there any reason the public should not?
Right, after the charges have been filed by the feds, because, the conviction rate by the feds is usually around 95% or so. So is there any reason why they shouldn't lose faith or trust in her?
She's pled not guilty. She's presumed innocent. And we've got a defense that you'll hear plenty about as we go. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I guess he's gonna get some more questions, but let's pivot over here because she actually did a press conference and this got pretty interesting. So hold on a second. Ah! Ma'am, do you have any comment? I love Jesus.
Yes, please.
Oh, she's not wearing her.
I'm used to standing, but I'll sit for you guys. You want to put the microphone on?
They're all on.
Oh, they're all on. Okay.
She's all for former incarcerated individuals' rights. She actually spent time incarcerated previously. She y'all.
Okay, good morning. Today I sit before you as a public servant, a mother, a woman of faith, not broken, not silenced, but resolved. The allegations made against me in the indictment are serious. I take them very seriously. But I will not be tried in the media. I will have my day in court where the truth belongs. But let me be clear. It's an effort to distract from the work I've done, the lives I've touched, and the community I represent. To my District 3 family, I see you, I serve you, I love you, and I will continue to fight for you. My commitment to justice, equity, and second chances remain unshaken. I trust the legal process, and I remain focused on what matters the most to people. Now, when I found out that there may have been some scrutiny in the application, I paid it back. I have one loan, $20,000, $833. $20,000, $833. When the application was processed, I paid it back. No one had to tell me to pay it back. When I found out that there may have been some stipulations in how the application was processed, I paid it back. Now, on the other hand, that's Hillbilly Barbecue that has $1.5 million that never went into the courtroom. They were able to pay it back civilly through a civil matter. Okay? So there's some PPP loans out there that just came up that never touched the courtroom. So if it's about justice and I paid it back, why are we here? Why are we here? I paid it back on my own. No one had to tell me to do that. I paid it back.
That was the full 124.
I don't have 124. I paid $20,000 back. You're reading an indictment. I just made my statement.
The indictment says that you used those funds on a birthday party. Is that the case?
I paid $20,000 back.
Did you originally use the funds that were provided for you for that birthday party?
I paid it back. The funds that I got was $20,833, and I paid it back.
And Councilmember Brown, it sounds like, are you planning to stay on council?
Why would I resign? I haven't been convicted of anything. I was elected for the people, by the people. The people would have to remove me out of the seat.
The feds also allege that your daughters were involved with this. Did you fill out any applications on their behalf?
I'm not going to speak on behalf of anybody that's not here.
What do you say to the residents of District 3 who are seeing this in the news? They're well aware of your history. How can they have confidence in your ability to continue to serve and your desire to continue to serve in the future?
My whole platform is based off second chances. It's based off transparency and truth. I've did several interviews with you. I always come forward. I'm always accountable. There's nothing to hide. My residents know who I am. They know my history. They know who I am. They know my history. My history is not a secret. I live my life on my history. There are women that I meet at the door that come home with just a bag in their hand and they live in my house. The feds sent them there. Did they tell you that? I house their women. They live with me. They're in one of my homes right now. This is the work that I do. It's who I am.
So she's got like some halfway houses.
You call the attack.
She paid it back.
The motivation is if it's political.
I paid the money back. No one had to tell me to pay it back. If we're seeking justice and I pay back the $20,833 that I'm accountable for, then why are we here? Why are we here?
So you got to put in
If it's in the matter of justice and we're seeking justice and I paid it back, again, why are we here?
Councilmember, you mentioned earlier, you said when you were kind of first made aware of the questions about the relief money, and when you paid it back, can you walk us through a little bit of the timeline of like when you first heard about the concerns and when you paid it back?
I didn't say I was aware of any questions. I just paid it back. I paid it back. It was done by a third party. The application was submitted by a third party. So what I accept responsibility for is maybe not scrutinize the application the way that I should have.
And this is going to be a trial, so we're not going to
But we're
too much.
it's definitely going to be a trial. But I do want to say this.
Speaking over her
When a
lawyer.
person has something to hide, they don't send out a press release. They don't show up and answer questions. And so I've done this my entire life. I travel the world. I have a national footprint fighting for women that are needing second chances, third chances, fourth chances, and fifth chances. What I'm saying to you is, when I found out there may have been any discrepancy in the application that was submitted by a third party, I paid it back. That's not in the paperwork that you have, but I paid it back and it was submitted.
The feds say the money was supposed to be used for payroll. Did you use that money for payroll?
Again, this is going to be for trial, so I've asked her not to answer these questions.
The feds say you spent $3,500 on a venue for your birthday party, $5,000 in catering, $2,300 for photography, a rented throne, and a horse-drawn carriage.
Mm.
What was that party?
Same answer on that one. This is not the time for us to try the case.
And the reason I came here today is because I've been very supportive of Ms. Brown. I've paid her thousands of dollars over the years for working with my company. So any insinuation that she took some money from a PPP loan when she has 3 jobs, she worked for Uber, she worked for Lyft, she worked for American Airlines. So to say that this money that was related to this PPP loan was exclusively used to pay for stuff
Who told
like
him
that,
to speak?
I personally gave her donations for that. So, you know, the last thing I want to say is I come here today to support her because we're talking about something that happened during a time when everyone was filing these loans, right? And the only mistake that she made was she didn't scrutinize it the way that she should have scrutinized it. And once she became aware,
His hat says Cedric.
once they made her aware,
something.
I'm gonna say that. She didn't say it, I said it. once they made her aware that it was some problems, just like you coming and questioning right now. When she was questioned about it, she paid it back. No questions asked, because she accepted responsibility of the fact that she did not scrutinize the application the way she did. She didn't fill out the application. So the fact that she didn't fill out the application, and there was some things that may have been put on that may not be correct.
I love that they're trying to get off on a technicality. You may not have filled out the application, but you signed the check. You spent the money. And if the money was supposed to be for PPP, paycheck protection, it was supposed to be used for business purposes. And they have audited, and they said that there was phony, like, I've got the indictment. We're not going to talk about it tonight because I don't have the stamina to go through this whole thing right now. But in the indictment, it goes into detail about the transfers and what was going on between her and her daughters, and how this whole thing was done. But girl, defendants spent vast majority of the PPP and EIDL funds on personal expenses, including purchases at Louis Vuitton. Okay, approximately 1 month after receiving $20,000 in loan proceeds. Tiawana, approximately $15,000 in personal expenditures, including a birthday party for herself, using the Beauty After Bars nonprofit account. So you have a nonprofit, and basically, unless it was a party for the nonprofit specifically, she allocated money out of her nonprofit, her 501c3, I'm assuming, um, for the expenditures. So okay, so this is what they're also alleging, that some of the PPP money that was supposed to be for her business was sent to her nonprofit, and the party was paid for out of the nonprofit's accounts. So she's over here misappropriating funds. They have her on some sort of fraud. This is a whole entire mess. And this is not even to include what was going on with the doters. Baby, it's a whole entire mess. And
Correct.
okay.
I'm saying the reality is that this was 5 years before she ever thought about running for office. So today she's staying here as a person that did more than Hillbilly Bob could ever done. That company that didn't get indicted, right?
So
She
Hillbilly
paid it back.
Bob's is,
What
let me
justice is to
see.
seek to get the money back.
What is
The other
Hillbilly?
company, they sitting over here, and it has. I don't care about the politics or none of that. We talking about people's lives, and to sit here and do an attack on this black woman right here, who paid it back. That's what we want, right? When you go to somebody and you say, "Hey, this
Hillbilly
right
Bob's
here,
barbecue
money
against
may
the
not have came the
allegation of
correct way,
misusing
right?
PPP money.
We need you to
Okay.
pay this back, right? Everybody has the opportunity. IRS has a way to pay that back on their website, right? So you pay it back. Now tell me one person who have paid it back that got indicted other than Tiawana Brown.
Let me, so they're mentioning, so there, I guess there's some restaurant. Look, this is the deal. Hillbilly barbecue. So she's trying to bring up, you know how Nesta will say, well, they accused me of this, but at least I didn't do that. Or so and so did this and so did that. Apparently, there's a restaurant chain here in Charlotte, and Gaston, in the region. Anyway, this person has agreed to pay a $1.5 million settlement for their pandemic misuse of some pandemic relief money. Now, the details. So yeah, this is a whole nother thing. We'd have to get into that. It looks like they may not be aware that there was an investigation and they came to a settlement with the U.S. Attorney's Office. Maybe I don't know. I'm gonna have to read it. I'll read it and then we'll talk about it if it's worth talking about. He's running his mouth and he's gonna get his foot he's
Because
going
the
to stick
fact
his
of
foot in
the
his
matter
mouth.
is,
But the
there are
funny thing
people
is that the
who have
lawyers over
interest
here are
in
kind of like,
paying
okay,
to do
let's
this.
shut this down.
Did they tell the grand jury that she paid it back? We don't know, but they sure didn't tell you. It's sure not in this indictment right here that she paid it back. Wouldn't you say that that's something that was important for the public?
I wonder if that's her boyfriend or something. Why is this man all up in the press conference?
To know?
I don't see a wedding band or anything. Why are you talking? Why are you over talking, sir?
So we're gonna let the public be the judge of this.
The feds say that you certified the application though under perjury. So why are you saying that a third party submitted the application?
Not gonna answer that question, Mr. Bruno.
When did you pay it back?
It was paid back a few months ago.
A few months ago.
It was payback.
Now you became aware of the investigation, correct?
But it's clear that no one told me to pay it back though. I paid it back on my own.
Why did you originally seek the funding?
I had a business to seek the funding. Yeah, I was starting a new business.
The
Business-
TCC collection.
TC
Let's
swimwear.
not get into the specifics too much. We don't want to give our entire playbook to the other side here. We're getting ready for trial.
What's the timeline? We know what happens next in terms of the trial.
Wait, hold on a second. Let me show you this. So she was starting a swimwear company, and what kind of bathing suits are these? They look like gymnastics outfits. TC Collection. Starting a new job at TC Collection. It looks like modesty bathing suits, right? Let me see. Oh, God. Did they make a Facebook page for the swimwear? Were they going to be modeling it? I like your page for TC Collection. Hold on. Baby. Is that supposed to be her daughter? Oh, that's her daughter. The one. That's what you're, girl. Okay. Oh my God. Hold on. Is she doing praise and worship dance? Stop it. Ah. This is on the TC. This is on the TC Swimwear Collection website. Oh my God. And this is a 4-minute video. No. A special tribute to dance for Charlene Henderson in honor of breast cancer awareness. Okay, this is a breast cancer awareness praise and worship dance. I wish we could listen to the music. Maybe we can listen to it really low. Hold on. Oh my God. Maybe if I speed it up. Hold on, let me do this. If I play it on 1.75. Okay, so this is City Councilwoman T. Oh my God. Oh. Okay. Okay, anyone coming back on the replay and this is dead quiet, baby. Did she actually choreo? She wanted everyone to know she could do a split. That's what she wanted us to know. She wanted us to know she could do a split. Okay. Stop. Okay, sis.
If she spent her 20s and 30s as a full-time mom and
Girl, her Facebook does not disappoint. Okay. Okay, let's hear what she has to say. Okay, let's hear.
City council, I told them I didn't think I could do politics, but I could be an elected official. I could be a public servant.
Sometimes I actually can't really even believe it. I'm like, wow, I am so excited to be able to be a leader in the community.
They pushed me into running for city council. I told them I didn't think I could do politics, but I could be an elected official.
Okay. All right, let's get back to the matter at hand. Sis is I cannot. We'll come back and visit her Facebook.
Just released this morning, so there'll be an initial appearance. And
Her lawyer looks like he's got way too many cases already. He already looks like he's exhausted from this case.
we'll be pleading not guilty at the initial appearance.
Absolutely, 110%.
Initial appearance tomorrow.
Yes.
I would ask that the U.S. attorney, and I'm making this request on behalf of the community, give Ms. Brown the same consideration that was given to these
Hillbilly
companies.
Barbecue?
Yeah, Hillbilly Barbecue. Like, she has a right to equal justice under the 14th Amendment, right? So equal justice for me would be for her to get the same consideration that they got who didn't pay it back. But they got to go through civil court and agree to pay it back incrementally. Ms. Brown paid it all the way back. So I would ask, when you speak to the U.S. Attorney's Office, to relay this request that in the interest of justice, Ms. Brown 14th Amendment right be protected and she be given the same opportunity that Hillbilly Barbecue got.
And there've been a number of other civil settlements. It's not just Hillbilly Barbecue.
Have you heard from any colleagues? Since you sent out the news
My
release
colleagues
this
are very
morning?
supportive of me.
And can y'all help? I'm just trying to understand because the indictment talks about 124,000, and Councilmember Brown, I think, has said you paid back roughly 20 or 21, I think is right. Can y'all help me understand like the rest of the money? What is the
I can help you understand what I'm responsible for. $20,833 paid back in full.
And that's exactly
So damn, your daughters are on the hook for over $100,000.
On my own. That's what I'm responsible for.
And is it the rest of the money?
He reminds me of George Wallace. Exactly. You got it. Soul
That's what
power.
the indictment charges. You're right on that.
If she has a U.S. birthday, the 14th Amendment has been.
You've been through this process before in the 90s. what would you say to people who are aware of that history and now see this happening again?
Well, I live my life every day fighting for people, meeting people right where they at. It's my life. I eat, breathe, and live justice. Whether it's in Raleigh, whether it's on Capitol Hill, working for the Department of Justice as an intern, fighting for Michelle West, who had 32 years that just came home. The women that live in my home every day that are praying for me, that the United States probation send from the Western District of North Carolina to my men's home and my women's home. I have 5 people in there now from the United States probation, Western District of North Carolina. The total that has been through my program this year, 11. So what do I say to them? Keep your head up, keep fighting, because there's 2 sides of justice. We're looking at it.
And Cedric can probably talk more on this, but she's not.
She has a previous conviction.
I can talk on my work. They know my work. Let's not pretend like these folks in this
You
room
got
don't know
this.
who I am and don't know my work. That I'm not here. I'm here for today. My accolades have already been
This is
written.
for the people that are watching.
My accolades have already been written, and this year alone graduated from Duke nonprofit program. I was the change agent for She Built This City. Last year, I got the Great 28. The year before that, I was given $250,000 for a safe home to take care of women and men that are coming home from incarceration. I am a program manager for CD Holdings for unhoused mental health, mental challenges, and second chance, and people that are justice impacted. I have went through Just Leadership. I am in on research right now. It's my 4th year at John C. Smith University. I hold a 4.0. The people that are watching should know that once you're in the system and you're given a number, 105670058, that's the number that I was given 34 years ago. We're never free. We're never free. There's a system that keeps us inside of a system. So 30 years ago, you could erase that. That's 3 decades ago. If anybody's looking at something I did 30 years ago, what have everybody in this room did 30 years ago? Somebody has always did something.
I know I wasn't in prison 30 years ago. I know that.
I was unsheltered. I had been through having my daughter in prison, handcuffed and shackled, coming home, checking the boxes and going back. We're not going to talk about a 19-year-old poor kid born on the 1500 block of West Boulevard in Southside Homes as to where I've risen to the occasion now. I made history, being the first formerly incarcerated person to sit at the dais. Now, people watching, some people are not happy with that. They're not happy the way I fight for people, the way that I call people out, the way that I make sure that people are held accountable. You know, I don't go along to get along. I'm not anybody's pocket. I have a very strong and courageous voice that I use every day to fight for everybody in District 3. I love everybody. I meet people right where they at. Unfortunately, on this day, I can say that justice don't always love people that look like me.
Did you use the pandemic relief loan for payroll?
Again, questions we're not going to get into in this conference.
Why do you view this as political? Do you think that somebody doesn't want you to run for re-election?
I'm going to repeat what I said to you. It's already recorded. If we are here for the sake of justice, which is normally what happens when there's a federal indictment, people get so upset and so afraid when they see a federal indictment. So let me educate.
Okay, so I don't want to pull this up because you never know who's watching, and it's just it seems like sometimes when I pull up certain dockets, you just never know. But I'm on the North Carolina Department of Adult Correction Offender information. So since she mentioned she was formerly a incarcerated individual, basically what it's saying here, 1990 larceny, misdemeanor, 1990 worthless check, 1990 felony class H, class J, financial card fraud, cheat. It says cheat. It literally says cheat. Poverty services. So maybe that was food stamps or something, financial card fraud. And then it says, oh, property services concurrent to sentence number 3. Girl, it says cheat. The offense in 1990 was cheat. 1992, property slash service. I don't know what kind. They said she did Fed time also, but I don't know that. Oh, so Tiawana Brown. Okay, and then her alias was Wanda. Okay, baby, a mess. Mm. I'll put it on Patreon so you guys can look at it if you want to. I just won't post it over here because YouTube is funny.
Okay, that a federal indictment is the government's way of putting out a warrant for you, a bill of education and information when they're going to charge you. So people need to know that that's watching. It would be the same as if somebody was driving down the street and they wrecked the car and they had guns and weapons in the car. So we're talking about a very serious crime, which is white collar crime. No violence. There's no violence in me. Never have been, never will be. I would like to say that when you hear that a person in my position doing the work that I do, working on Capitol Hill, working for the Department of Justice, going in and out, got a great relationship with Elizabeth, or she's no longer there. But the bottom line is I know this justice thing inside and out. If I paid it back on my own when it was brought to my attention, what would you call it?
And Joe, I really,
I think she's trying to split hairs. I mean, we already know how this is going to turn out. At the end of the day, just because you paid it back doesn't mean it didn't happen. You paid back money you owed, so you don't really get a cookie for that. I don't know. She was talking about another restaurant, I guess here that's locally. Let's see, Charlotte attorney. So it is the same U.S. attorney, Russ Ferguson today. So U.S. Attorney Russ Ferguson announced today that Bobby Gerard Duncan of DE&E Foods Incorporated, doing business as Hillbilly Barbecues and Steaks, have agreed to pay $1,530,682.26 to resolve allegations they violated the False Claims Act by knowingly obtaining $762,903 in pandemic relief. So they're paying double, and then misusing the funds for Duncan's own personal gain. The settlement further resolves allegations that Duncan and Hillbilly Barbecue knowingly made false statements to obtain the relief, as well as obtain loan forgiveness in the Paycheck Protection Plan. So do you have those coins? It sounds like they took a certain amount, but they're paying back double. The United States civil complaint alleged that Duncan, through his restaurant, Hillbilly Barbecue, obtained the relief funds through the economic injury disaster loan and 2 PPP loans rather than using the funds for authorized purchases included for payroll and other business related expenses. Duncan misappropriated the funds for his own benefit, specifically to purchase a separate FedEx business with Duncan's longtime friend. Duncan did so by first transferring $100,000 of relief funds from Hillbilly Barbecue account to his personal account entitled Vacation Account, then added his friend as a account holder and to artificially boost the friend's credit score for a separate SBA intended for the FedEx business purchase. When that failed, Duncan used the pandemic relief to buy the FedEx business outright for $750,000 by writing 2 large checks for the purchase directly from the Hillbilly Barbecue account, one for $400,000 and one for $350,000. Pandemic relief funds were meant to provide financial lifeline to small businesses struggling to stay afloat during the unprecedented, not grow your real estate and business portfolio. So I don't know. Maybe they admitted, I don't know. It didn't go into detail what, how they came to the settlement, but she's parking on they got a deal. Where's my deal? So, but she went in there talking about she wants a trial. So maybe she didn't go in there asking for a deal.
I want to say this right here. You asked the question, what is the message that should be sent to people who may question them? The message is clear. Lead by example. Miss Brown, it's thousands of people that have been said that you obtain a PPP loan and you need to pay it back, right? She paid it back. And the message that needs to be taken away today for anybody in her district, anybody in this city, is to cooperate with law enforcement. People investigating you, if they come to you and bring to your attention, maybe you didn't scrutinize the application that was done by a third party, because there was all kind of third party companies that was doing it, trying to assist business owners. If you were that person and you are approached by the federal government and told, hey, there are some issues right here, cooperate and pay it back. That's the right thing to do. That's what Ms. Brown did. And I would hope, in the interest of fairness, in the interest of truth, that that's part of the message today, because it sure wasn't part of this indictment. The fact that she paid it back. So the message to everybody should be that if you obtain a loan and there were some issues about it and you are made aware, pay it back. That's the right thing to do, and that's what Ms. Brown did.
Right, and what we've got here is a speaking indictment. The prosecutors could have just put the charges out there, but instead they laid it all out here to put the case in the media. So,
and Councilmember Brown, I asked you before, you're going to stay on council. You said it's an election year. Are you planning on running for the district?
Absolutely.
Again?
Yeah, I'm not. So again, I made history. The people asked me to run for office. It was never under my umbrella to run for office. Never wanted to be in politics. I know how dirty politics is. I know that. I pride myself in walking in every day in dignity, in my office, looking at the jail, praying for the people who I serve, who I know deserve a second chance, praying for the people, working for the people that put me at the dais to fight for them on every tough issue, answering all the tough questions. So to your answer and to everybody else answer that's
When I looked at her platform,
yes.
I went to her platform to see what her main issues are for District 3. Girl, she was talking about transit. She's talking about girl, nothing of what she's talking about right now. I was thinking to myself, there's no platform here. Okay? Look at what this lady is spending time. I don't know what she wants to do. Okay? Ma'am, where are you going with them little shorts on? Oh my god. I'm I'm almost like a little embarrassed that she's from my city, but I cannot stop giggling inside. This is so funny. This is so funny to me. I'm like, do we have our version of a little bit of a Tiffany Henyard Jr., even though she's not? She's not the mayor. Anyway, I'm sure we will be hearing more from Miss Tiawana Brown. Okay. You can't tell sis nothing, okay? Hold on.
You ready?
Okay. You can't tell her nothing about her legs. You could tell that's her best feature. Okay, let me get up off of here. I'm playing too much with y'all. Okay, guys. I'm glad we got a chance to get caught up on some other topics. Tomorrow is going to be, I need to see what I'm sure it's going to be jury selection, but tomorrow is going to start the case, the trial for Maxwell Anderson. Maxwell Anderson has been accused. He is the one that was, let me pull up his picture so you know who we're talking about. The murder of Sade Robinson, and it's going to start jury selection. So I don't know that that's going to be televised, but Sade Robinson, if you remember last year, she went on a date. Let's just pull this up real quick just to kind of refresh y'all's memory of the case. Let's see if this one, just a second. You know what? I should put this up on, let me find it on YouTube. Hold on a second. I have this ready. Okay. Just a second. And you guys are going to know exactly what this situation is. She went on a first date with this guy and was never seen alive again. And the gruesome thing was that she was dismembered, and let's get into it.
It's been more than a year since Sade Robinson was last seen alive, and now the trial against the man, prosecutors say, killed and dismembered her, is set to begin.
Bill Misson will be covering the trial for us. He joins us live from the newsroom with what you can expect from start to finish, and it starts tomorrow, Bill.
Yeah, that's right. And this is a big story that has captivated people across the country. And since it began more than a year ago, myself and my co-workers, Fox 6 reporters, will be covering the trial against Maxwell Anderson. The 35-year-old is accused of killing Robinson, dismembering her, and setting her car on fire. So here's what we can expect and how you can follow all of the developments in the case.
After several delays, Maxwell Anderson's homicide trial is set to start Tuesday. Up first, selecting jurors for the high-profile case. At least 70 jurors are expected to be called for the selection process.
It's going to be tough to find jurors that don't know a lot about the case.
Defense attorney Jonathan Lavoie is one of the legal experts viewers can expect to see on Fox 6 throughout the trial, which could take 2 weeks.
The parties are going to be trying to focus on finding jurors that are going to be fair and impartial.
Ultimately, it will be 12 jurors who will end up deciding what the evidence in the case says and whether or not Anderson is responsible for Robinson's death. The two were seen at 2 Milwaukee bars on April 1st, 2024, on a first date. Less than 24 hours later, Robinson's severed leg was found at Warnemont Park in Cudahy. In the days that followed, other human remains were later found in the area of 30th and Walnut, just blocks from where Robinson's car was found torched on the morning of April 2nd. Around that time, prosecutors say these surveillance photos are of Anderson leaving and hopping on a bus back to his Southside home. It's at that home investigators searched 2 days later, and where prosecutors believe Robinson went after leaving that Water Street bar.
What happened during those 3 hours at his home? Those are the questions that no one knows right now, and this jury trial is going to help us figure out what happened here.
The trial's likely to feature a lot of technical information, GPS, cell phone data, detailed scientific evidence. The state has more than 250 witnesses it could call to testify. Not all will take the stand.
Now, each day of the trial, Fox 6 will stream it uninterrupted on Fox Local and our YouTube channel. In addition to myself and Bria Jones, other Fox 6 reporters will be providing live trial coverage throughout the day, as well as on Wisconsin Live Desk on Fox Local. For full coverage, including an in-depth series by Bria Jones looking at Sade Robinson, her wife, and family, you can find that all on Fox Local.
Okay. Someone asked about Oh, the Robinsons. Shanquilla and her family. They are suing the Cabo Six. So that actually is happening at our federal it's a hold on a second, I just had it. Is this it? No. Do. Okay. So there's I don't want to say there's not a lot going on right now. I actually feel like they may have had a hearing. So right now they're still kind of arguing back and forth venue. It's Robinson versus Jackson. And you guys remember that specifically the number one person who's named on here is the one who was featured in the video, who may have dealt the deadly blows and, had Shanquilla by her neck and flipped her over, all of that. But everybody, the whole Cabo Six is in here. So you see Elise Hyatt, Winter Donovan, all of these people are all up in here, okay? In the mom Salamandra. So the lawsuit is from the mother Salamandra, and she's suing the whole entire Cabo Six because she is not Khalil Cook. So they're arguing venue right now. So they haven't had court yet. They're just kind of going back and forth with motions and stuff like that. But when they go to court, I'm gonna go downtown. I will be there. This is happening in Charlotte. So because I mean, definitely I'm gonna go and be nosy and see what was going on down there. But yeah, they're still arguing venue right now. They're trying to say that the venue should be in Mexico, which of course I'm sure they would love for it to be Mexico, for a United States judge to rule that. But at the end of the day, Mexico is really not, I mean, I can't speak for the whole country of Mexico, but I don't know that they are motivated to try this case. And no one's really coming forward to tell exactly what happened to Shanquilla. The only thing that we know is am I showing this? Oh, hold on one second. I'm sorry, guys. You couldn't see. Only thing that we know is that, obviously something happened. We saw the video, but all of this back and forth that's going on this docket. Can you see now? Yes. Okay. Everything that you can see that's happening on the docket is basically their motions back and forth. And the most recent things is that they have been arguing venue. So there's activity, but no hearings just yet. Just still arguing venue and, just waiting for a hearing date to happen. So, but yeah, someone mentioned Shanquilla. So yeah, I'm following it. If something notable happens, I'll let you know when they have court. I'm going to definitely be down there and see what's going on. So anyway, but yeah, guys, that's what's going on. There's obviously more stuff on my list, but we're not going to stay up all night getting caught up, but we will definitely obviously get caught up with Diddy. They did file some motions actually today. I was trying to read the motion. They want Kid Cudi's okay, so there is, in brief, okay, so there were a couple things. One thing was some pictures and some video that still hasn't come out yet, and they're basically asking for those things to not be able to come in. Also, they want to have Kid Cudi's testimony stricken from the record, and I haven't finished it yet. So I'll finish it, reading it in the morning, and then I can talk about it tomorrow when we do like a little bit of a Diddy update and see what's going on, because they've had a nice long weekend and things will be resuming. So I'll see what's going on there. and then we'll check out Maxwell Anderson and probably watch that trial, because there's not a lot that we can watch with Diddy other than getting the updates and all of that. So I'm gonna stream Maxwell Anderson, and I don't know what they're gonna have tomorrow, because tomorrow will be jury selection, but that's typically not going to be televised. They might have some of it or not show the jury. So if they're going to show and we can hear, then, but with jury selection, they're not going to show the potential jury. So that whole thing, but it sounds like it's going to be like a 2-week trial, and they're going to, it's going to be gut wrenchingly sad, because, this was a very sad, unfortunate situation. The family is obviously devastated. But this is, the reason why I think that this is an important trial. Number one, the guy was absolutely disgusting and brutal to her, but this was a young lady who was 19 years old, who was just out here dating. She wasn't doing anything wrong. She met a guy. She went on what seemed to be a pretty innocent date. I the report is that she went home with him, and unfortunately, that cost her her life. But I think that these stories need to be told, because this guy is not unique, and there's other people like him out here that want to take advantage of young women and mean them nothing but harm. So I think that this is really important, and people really need, young women really need to pay attention to this type of story, even though it's very unique and it may not happen again, but I suspect it will. You know what I mean? And it is scary, but these things are happening, and there's predators out here, absolutely, and our young women need to know that making certain choices can cost you your life. Unfortunately, Sade didn't know that, and maybe she thought she met someone nice, and I'm going to say I don't really think she did anything wrong. She didn't do anything that any other young woman might not do, but unfortunately she did not know that she was with a maniac, right? Who was going to brutalize her. So anyway, so we'll stream that tomorrow and get caught up on everything else. Okay. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Thanks for tuning in tonight. And anyone else on the replay, make sure to thumbs up this live for me. So other people can find me. Okay. Find us and find this wonderful community. And okay. You guys have a good night. Okay. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Have a good night. Bye, guys.